Welcome back to Dinar for Veterans, the channel built by veterans, for veterans, and for every hard-working American who had the courage to invest in a future that most people were too afraid to believe in. If you are holding Iraqi Dinar, Vietnamese Dong, or Zim Bonds, stop what you are doing right now and give this your full attention, because what we are covering today may be the most consequential financial update we have ever delivered on this channel. The reports coming in are urgent. They are verified through multiple insider sources, and they carry implications that go far beyond the exchange process itself. This is about your family, your legacy, and the financial freedom you have sacrificed and waited for. Stay with us through every word of this broadcast, because we are breaking down the specific rate ranges currently being reported, the exact documentation you need to have ready, the critical window that is now open, and the steps you must take to protect every dollar of what you have earned. For years, the veterans and dedicated holders in this community have sat at the edge of something historic, watching governments move, watching markets shift, and watching the global financial architecture slowly reorganize itself from the ground up. That reorganization is no longer a distant theory. According to the most recent verified reports we have received, the redemption centers designated for Tier 4B retail holders are now transitioning from standby mode to active operations. This is the phase that every credible insider and analyst in this space has pointed toward as the moment when the private exchange process becomes a tangible, operational reality for the everyday holder. The governments, the large institutional players, and the elite financial groups moved through their own processing tiers behind closed doors. Now the window for the retail community, for people like you, is officially open. The scope of what is happening at these facilities goes far beyond a typical bank transaction. These are not your local credit unions or retail banking branches. These are secure, purpose-built facilities operating under high-level protocols that mirror government intelligence installations more than they resemble anything most people have ever walked into. Reports from insiders describe a clinical, controlled environment where security is the absolute top priority from the moment you arrive. Biometric identification, multi-factor authentication, ultraviolet and magnetic ink currency verification, and legally binding non-disclosure agreements are all part of the process. Every note is authenticated, every identity is verified, every document is reviewed. The level of precision being applied here is not bureaucratic overcaution. It is the necessary foundation for a transition of this magnitude, one that involves moving sovereign wealth at a scale that has never before been attempted in the modern financial era without triggering systemic collapse. Now let us get to the numbers, because that is what this community has been waiting to hear. The rates being reported on the most recent internal redemption sheets are genuinely extraordinary. For the Iraqi dinar, contract rates within these secure facilities are currently ranging from $3.50 on the lower end, climbing as high as $7 per note for those participating under specific tier structures and humanitarian project funding requirements. These figures represent a transformation of value that cannot be overstated when compared to what you see on public foreign exchange markets today. Iraq's position in the global trade arena has changed fundamentally. The country sits on one of the largest proven oil and natural gas reserves on the planet, and the economic reforms that have been passed through their parliament in recent months have laid the groundwork for exactly this kind of sovereign revaluation. The Vietnamese Dong is showing equally dramatic movement. Rates being reported range from 47 cents on the lower end to $2.10 at the higher contract tier, which represents a life-altering shift for holders who have accumulated their positions over years of patient accumulation. Vietnam's manufacturing sector has posted record-breaking growth. Its trade relationships with both Eastern and Western economies have strengthened dramatically, and its integration into the new global financial settlement framework is now complete. These are not random numbers being floated on the forums. They are figures tied to real economic fundamentals and confirmed by multiple layers of insider reporting coming in right now. For Zim Bond holders, the structure is somewhat different, and it is important that you understand the distinction. Zimbabwean holdings are being handled through a long-term structured settlement model rather than an immediate liquidity exchange. What this means practically is that payouts are being organized over 10 to 20-year programs, delivering a consistent, generational income stream rather than a single lump sum. This structure is intentional. The humanitarian and infrastructure rebuilding objectives that are central to the entire global reset require that this level of wealth be deployed responsibly and systematically, rather than flooding into the consumer economy all at once. If you hold Zim, you are being invited into one of the most historically significant wealth distribution programs ever conceived, and the patience required to manage that correctly will be rewarded accordingly. The technical infrastructure that makes all of this possible has been years in the making. The compliance requirements under Basel III, the international banking standards that mandate gold and asset-backed reserves for financial institutions, have now been fully integrated across the central banks of Iraq and Vietnam. The blockchain-based settlement systems that allow for instantaneous, transparent, and fraud-resistant transfer of capital have been tested, refined, and are now fully operational. The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank have provided the final institutional clearance, allowing the liquidity structures supporting these new valuations to come fully online. This is the shift from a debt-based fiat monetary system to an asset-backed model, one where the off-ledger gold and natural resource collateral that has existed for decades is finally being brought into the light to support real, verifiable value. Insiders are describing the current operational window as a 48 to 72-hour acceleration phase, during which the most favorable contract rates are being actively applied to exchanges. This high-velocity processing window is designed to move the bulk of the Tier 4B retail holder community through the system in a highly controlled and organized burst. Once this initial wave is processed and the system moves into its next phase, the specific contract rates currently on offer may normalize into their long-term market positions, which, while still historically significant, will not carry the same premium being offered to the early participants who helped prove the system's functionality. This is not speculation. This is how every controlled rollout of sovereign financial programs has operated throughout modern history, and the pattern is repeating itself right now. Your preparation in the next 24 hours is everything. There is no margin for error when dealing with high-security redemption protocols, and being disorganized or underprepared when you receive your appointment notification could cost you the best available rate. You need at minimum 2 forms of valid, unexpired government-issued photo identification. A current passport combined with a valid driver's license is the standard combination being requested at most facilities. You need your original proof of purchase documentation from the licensed currency dealer where you acquired your holdings. This establishes a clean, verifiable paper trail for the anti-money laundering verification that is a mandatory part of every single appointment. A proof of current residency, such as a recent utility statement or bank statement, is also required to satisfy the tax and legal documentation you will be asked to sign before any funds are released to your account. If you are seeking the higher end of the rate spectrum, which is tied to humanitarian project funding requirements, you should prepare a clear and concise outline of your proposed project. This does not need to be a formal business plan, but it does need to demonstrate genuine intent and a credible approach to deploying capital in ways that create jobs, improve infrastructure, or serve your community. For our veterans in this audience, this is where your background becomes a profound advantage. You know what service looks like. You understand community, sacrifice, and long-term mission thinking better than almost anyone. That is exactly the profile these programs are designed to reward. The non-disclosure agreement you will be required to sign is not optional, and its terms are not symbolic. This is a legally enforceable contract that prohibits you from publicly disclosing the specific rates you received, the exact dollar amounts in your accounts, or the operational details of the facility you visited. No social media posts, no chat room announcements, no conversations with neighbors or extended family about the exact figures. Violations of this agreement can result in the immediate freezing of your accounts and the potential clawback of funds. The rationale behind this is straightforward. A quiet, orderly wealth transfer that does not trigger panic in traditional markets or create a flood of targeted scams against new wealth holders is in everyone's interest. Treat this with the professionalism of a mission briefing where operational security is not optional but essential. One of the most important preparations you can make right now, separate from your currency documentation, is establishing the right legal and financial structure to receive and protect your proceeds. Walking into a redemption appointment without a plan for where those funds go next is one of the most serious mistakes a holder can make. Depositing millions or potentially billions of dollars directly into a standard personal checking account will trigger immediate regulatory scrutiny and may limit your access to the funds. Most successful participants are working with trust attorneys to establish private family trusts or asset management vehicles that provide both legal protection and tax efficiency under the new financial framework. Some redemption centers have initial guidance staff available, but having your own independent wealth manager, tax attorney, and trust expert already in place before your appointment is the gold standard of preparation. This is about more than receiving the money. It is about keeping it, growing it, and ensuring it serves your family and your community for generations. For the long-term holders in this audience, particularly those who have been in this community since 2015, 2018, or earlier, there is specific acknowledgement built into the current rate sheets. Provisions exist that offer additional incentives or slightly improved contract terms for individuals who can demonstrate they have held their currency for more than 5 years. If you have your original dealer receipts from those years, make sure they are at the front of your document folder. This is a loyalty recognition built into the structure of the exchange, an acknowledgement by the architects of this reset that the retail community provided the foundational confidence that helped stabilize these currencies through years of uncertainty. The redemption staff is trained to recognize and honor that history. There is something that needs to be said directly to the veterans, the retirees, and the families in this audience who have carried this investment alongside everything else life has thrown at you. Many of you came to the Iraqi Dinar after deployments that left you searching for something that could make the financial sacrifices of military service worth it in the long run. Some of you discovered this community during the hardest financial years of your lives. You faced skepticism from people who didn't understand what you saw, who questioned your judgment and doubted your research. The emotional weight of this journey has been real and heavy. It is okay to acknowledge that, but that weight is now shifting. The discipline you practiced, the patience you maintained, and the faith you kept when every easy path pointed away from holding, that is what positioned you here right now. Walk into whatever comes next with the same quiet professionalism that carried you through everything that came before. The behavior and demeanor you bring into the redemption center matters. These facilities are operating under significant pressure to ensure the rollout is executed without incident, and the staff inside them are monitoring not just your documents, but your overall readiness to responsibly handle what is being transferred to you. Arrive calm, organized, professional, and respectful. Follow every instruction precisely. Treat every staff member with the kind of respect and patience you would want extended to you. This is not a place for demands, for excitement-driven outbursts, or for negotiating the terms of your appointment time. You are walking into a mission-critical environment, and your conduct from the moment you arrive to the moment you sign the final document reflects your fitness for the role of wealth steward you are stepping into. Regarding the technical processing of your funds, our sources confirm that the U.S. Treasury and the Central Bank of Iraq have synchronized their systems to allow funds to be visible in your new accounts immediately following your appointment, though an initial 24-hour hold for final blockchain ledger reconciliation is standard. Do not be alarmed if you see a pending status on your balance during this period. This is a built-in security protocol to ensure that no unauthorized outflows occur before the international settlement nodes fully reconcile. Once that hold clears, your structured access begins according to the terms you agreed to during your appointment. Everything is performing within the expected parameters of the plan that was finalized in the classified Treasury and IMF coordination meetings earlier this month. Keep your phones fully charged and your notifications active. The appointment notification, when it comes, will require a fast response. The logistics of moving this many participants through a limited number of secure facilities are planned with a level of precision that leaves little room for scheduling flexibility. If you receive your call or your email, respond immediately, confirm your slot, and move. Do not ask for a later date unless absolutely unavoidable. Do not attempt to bring unauthorized guests. Do not discuss the appointment details on any unsecured channel. Simply confirm, prepare, and go. This is the moment this community was built around. The global currency reset, the Tier 4B activation, the opening of the redemption centers. It is no longer something we are waiting for. According to every verified source we have, It is operational right now. The geopolitical foundations are in place. The technical infrastructure is live. The economic fundamentals of both Iraq and Vietnam support the valuations being reported. The institutional clearances have been granted. Everything that needed to be true for this moment to arrive is now confirmed as true. Your job in the hours and days ahead is to be ready, to be professional, to be quiet about the specifics, and to be absolutely clear about why you are doing this and who you plan to serve with the resources you receive. For the veterans in this audience especially, you already know what it means to be handed a significant responsibility and to carry it with honor. That is exactly what this moment is asking of you again. Not just to receive wealth, but to steward it in a way that reflects the values that defined your service. Build something that lasts. Support your family. Invest in your community, and remember where you came from, because the world is going to need people with your character leading this new era of conscious, purpose-driven wealth. We will continue monitoring every development around the clock and bring you updates as this historic event continues to unfold. The doors are open. The rates are live. Your time is now.